Much is made of the real term's importance of captains within modern football and what their responsibilities actually entail. But if one thing is for sure, it is that they wear an armband and get to take part in a coin toss before a match kicks off. That type of responsibility couldn't just fall upon any old Tom, Dick or Harry. Whilst captains are typically selected based upon their leadership credentials, experience and standing within a squad, it always helps if they can play a bit too. So, with that in mind, in today's video, I'm going to take a look at the 24 Euro 2020 captains and attempt to rank them from worst to best, or from least to most brilliant, based solely upon their talents in the here and now. Again, that's not current form, nor is it performances at this tournament, it's just current ability, and it's also just my opinion. My rankings are not based on the player's prior achievements, prior talents, or leadership skills, other than leadership skills just being one attribute among many. Hopefully that is clear enough, and without further ado, here is how I would rank every Euro 2020 captain based solely upon their playing ability right now. Oh, and if my voice still sounds a little bit weird, yeah, that is still from the Germany game. 24th, ANDREAS GRANQVIST. A legend of the Swedish game and an unlikely national hero at the 2018 World Cup, ANDREAS GRANQVIST is a man of many talents. A giant of a man, GRANQVIST is positionally very good, he's very strong, and he is extremely dominant in the air. Were this list based upon either peak ability or leadership skills, he would be well clear of the foot of it. But the reality is that he is 36 years old now, he hasn't actually played for Sweden since 2019, and he has also only played 6 games at club level in the last 2 years. Increasingly injury prone these days, GRANQVIST works jointly as a player and as a director of football at his boyhood club Helsingborg, and he has done rather more directing than playing over the last couple of years. With all that taken into account, whilst GRANQVIST may still be a superb captain, he has to kickstart our rankings. 23rd, ANDRIY PYATOV. One of the oldest heads at Euro 2020, ANDRIY PYATOV is 37 years old, and he has been representing Ukraine since 2006. Capped 97 times in total, the 5th most in the history of the national team, PYATOV is no longer Ukraine's number 1. That title belongs to the much less experienced Yuri Bushkan, who is 10 years younger than PYATOV. In his pomp, PYATOV might have troubled the top half of this list, but in the here and now, having made just 7 appearances for Shakhtar Donetsk last season, I'm afraid 23rd is the limit. 22nd, Tim SPARV. Our second very early Nordic inclusion, Finland were very unlucky not to reach the knockout stage of their first major tournament this summer, just missing out on qualification as the 5th highest ranked, 3rd place team. Only goal difference separated them and Ukraine, who progressed to the next round. Finland fans will be hoping their side can build upon their Euro 2020 qualification and performance by reaching future tournaments, but it seems distinctly possible that Tim SPARV won't be around for too many more. At the age of 34, SPARV is the oldest man in the Finland squad, capped 83 times by the national team. An academy graduate from Southampton, SPARV is an old-school defence midfielder who does the basics well and leaves ball progression and creativity to others. Recently released by Greek outfit LLORIS following their relegation from the Super League Greece, SPARV is an excellent captain, but I can only put him in 22nd as he approaches his retirement. 21st, Adam Soloy. A man who has just agreed to extend his contract at Mainz in the Bundesliga, Adam Soloy scored Hungary's opener against Germany as the Minnows were very cruelly dumped out of the group of death, despite only losing to one of the 3 giants that they came up against, all of whom have now been knocked out of Euro 2020. Scoring is something that Soloy doesn't actually do all that often, despite playing as a centre-forward, having scored just 2 goals in his last 38 appearances over the last 2 seasons, or scoring just 1 goal in each of the last 2 seasons, which might be a better way of putting it. A big, old-school target man-style centre-forward, Soloy actually retired from international football in 2014 before returning later that year, and as good as his header against the Germans was, I can't really justify putting him any higher than 21st. 20th, GORAN PANDEV. If 20th seems a bit harsh on GORAN PANDEV, I would urge you all to recall the fact that he is 37 years old and that this list is based solely on current ability. Following 20 years representing North Macedonia, GORAN PANDEV has now played his last game of international football, bowing out at the end of his first major tournament in which North Macedonia lost all 3 games. An equally impressive creator of chances, as he is taker of them, if not more so in fact, there were 2 or 3 seasons at Lazio in the mid to late 2000s in which PANDEV was absolutely superb. He still doesn't look at all out of place in Serie A now, despite the fact that he will turn 38 this month, but all things considered, 20th seems about right to me. 19th, Julian Baumgartlinger. Despite being Austria's captain, Julian Baumgartlinger only played 1 minute of football at this summer's European Championship. No, you heard that right, not 1 game, I said 1 minute. That wasn't down to a lack of talent, though Baumgartlinger's ability is often debated in Austria, but rather due to a knee injury, one which had ruled him out of action for Bayer Leverkusen since January. A tireless ball-winning midfielder with a remarkable work rate, Baumgartlinger might not be the most creative or technically gifted of midfield players, but he has long been trusted by managers at club and international level for his industriousness and leadership skills. Aged 33, there's a chance that this was Baumgartlinger's last tournament with Austria, though I'm sure he still has one eye on the next World Cup. 18th, VLADIMIR DARIDA. Bundesliga players have been some of the stars of Euro 2020, and in VLADIMIR DARIDA, we already have our 3rd Bundesliga-based captain in the space of just 4 inclusions. The Czech Republic have been highly impressive at this tournament, and at the time of this recording, they are yet to face Denmark in a quarter-final tie in Baku. VLADIMIR DARIDA has played in 3 of the Czech Republic's 4 games this tournament, missing his country's 2-0 win over the Netherlands through injury. A sort of hybrid box-to-box midfielder / number 10, if there was a common trait shared by most of the players in this video, then it would be their exceptional work ethic and stamina in games, and DARIDA is no exception. 17th, GRANIT XHAKA. Based on his performance against France, GRANIT XHAKA is not just one of the best captains at Euro 2020, he is quite possibly one of the best midfielders in the world. Unfortunately, that virtuoso display against the world champions, in which XHAKA routinely picked out long-range, penetrative passes all game, is not typical of what we have seen of the Basel-born ethnic Albanian during his time at Arsenal. I don't think there have been too many doubts about XHAKA's raw talent over the years, or his ability to put in a performance like that, and were he to make that the norm, he could probably finish as high as 6th in this list. In the real world, for now at least, his inconsistency sees him restricted to a seemingly pretty harsh 17th place. 16th, Ertem Zuber. One of the strangest players in world football, and I absolutely mean that, Ertem Zuber is simultaneously rubbish and quite good at football. I'll try to explain what I mean by that. To look at him, you might think Zuber was more likely to be a boxer than a footballer, and I don't just mean off the pitch. There are times during games where you could easily be forgiven for making that mistake as well. I tweeted during the Euros that I don't think I've ever seen a game in which Zuber has played in, for club or country, where he hasn't just blatantly used his size and strength to run straight into someone, often off the ball and almost always with no intention of ever actually winning the ball. Conversely, his first touch can actually be quite good, and his goal-scoring record speaks for itself. 30 goals from 55 caps for Russia is absolutely outstanding. He was dropped by Stanislav Cherchesov in 2020 and removed as captain by Zenit St. Petersburg after a video was leaked that appeared to show Zuber masturbating in bed. But he's back captaining Russia now, though still not Zenit, and as such, he takes 16th. 15th, Burak Yilmaz. The most underwhelming dark horses in the history of, well, underwhelming dark horses, Turkey didn't just fail to live up to that status at Euro 2020, they were quite possibly the worst team at the entire tournament. In fairness to national team captain and talisman Burak Yilmaz, he didn't get a great deal of service, and I am not so fickle as to judge the veteran centre-forward on the basis of 3 games in which basically his entire team were fairly useless. At club level, Yilmaz has almost always guaranteed goals. including this season, as he spearheaded Lille's attack and scored 18 goals en route to winning an unlikely Ligue 1 title. I really like him, and though he's 35, soon to turn 36, and failed to do an awful lot at the Euros, he still takes 15th. 14th. MAREK HAMSIK. Unsurprisingly, the average age of Euro 2020 captains is quite old, since captains tend to be fairly experienced players for very obvious reasons. MAREK HAMSIK is 33 years old now, and whilst his best days at club level may now be behind him, he remains a talismanic figure for Slovakia as the nation's all-time record appearance holder and goalscorer. I actually think that across the course of his entire career, HAMSIK has been a very underrated player, largely due to the fact that he spent his best years, well, almost all of his years in truth, at Napoli, where he never won a Serie A title or featured frequently in the latter stages of the Champions League. Gifted, intelligent, hard-working, and lethal from range, as recently as 5 years ago, HAMSIK would have waltzed into my top 10. But now aged 33 and having had 3 clubs in the last 2 years in China, Sweden and Turkey, HAMSIK can't quite crack the top 10. 13th. HUGO LLORIS. HUGO LLORIS became France's number 1 at a very early age, and he has never relinquished that title in the 13 years since, having captained his country for over 9 years. The result is 129 caps, the second most of any male French football player of all time, though I still have my doubts about him overtaking Lilian Thuram, despite the fact that he is just 13 caps behind him at this moment in time. For the last few years, there have certainly been question marks surrounding Lloris's consistency and performances, though Didier Deschamps has always stood by him. Perhaps now that will change, and I'm afraid he just misses out on a top half finish. 12th. KJAER. Whatever happens at this Euros, however many goals a player scores, and whichever captain lifts the trophy, in so many respects, KJAER will always be the hero of this tournament, along with the incredible medical team who most likely saved Christian Eriksen's life. That moment of fear and anguish put it all into perspective right at the start of this tournament, and I think the relief that Eriksen now appears to be fit and well remains palpable among much of the footballing community. Back on topic, aside from seeming like a great bloke, KJAER is also a very capable centre-back, whose praises I have sung on this channel for many years. He looks settled and solid at AC Milan right now, and he deservedly starts our countdown of the top half of this list. 11th. Georginio Wijnaldum. The Netherlands experienced an unusual Euros in some respects, enjoying a much better than anticipated group stage, albeit without facing any real titans, but following that up with a bitterly disappointing defeat to the Czech Republic, which turned on a single red card. Despite their early departure, Georginio Wijnaldum had a pretty impressive tournament, as he prepares to join PSG this summer on a free transfer. Undeniably talented, Wijnaldum's versatility is best exhibited in the very different roles that he has played at club and international level. Capable of being a workhorse in the middle of the park who just keeps things ticking over, or of being a bright and entertaining number 10 who's really dangerous in the final third. Whilst I don't think Liverpool will miss Wijnaldum an awful lot next season, he is obviously a very good player. 10th. GIORGIO CHIELLINI. Older players have been punished at times in this video, but only on the grounds that I feel as though they have declined as players, not just because they're getting on a bit. To illustrate that point, kick-starting our top 10 is the one and only GIORGIO CHIELLINI, one of the finest defenders of his generation. Now aged 36, I would say Chiellini's physical attributes may have waned just a little in recent years, but his tactical intelligence, positioning, and reading of the game most certainly have not. Aggressive and proactive, Chiellini doesn't wait for danger to arrive before trying to prevent a goal. He is constantly seeking to prevent that opportunity from arising in the first place. Capped 109 times by Italy, Chiellini may be 36 years old, but he's still one of the best defenders at this tournament. 9th. Andy Robertson. The only former Hull City player to captain a team at Euro 2020, those of you who like to play Will Alfie mention Hull City in today's video bingo can now tick that box, laugh at me in the comments, take a shot, or whatever it is you like to do when the inevitable happens. Andy Robertson came on leaps and bounds during his time in East Yorkshire, though his development at Liverpool has arguably been even more impressive. Scotland always faced an uphill battle to reach the knockout stage of Euro 2020, but they put in an excellent performance against England and just wasted too many opportunities and came up against a centre-forward in outstanding form against the Czech Republic. Nevertheless, Robertson is Scotland's star man, and he was the youngest captain at Euro 2020. Given his consistency and the player he has become under Jurgen Klopp, he was always assured of a top 10 finish. 8th. Eden Hazard. I am rather ashamed to reveal this fact, given my job and the fact that I quite like football, but until making this video, I somehow either wasn't aware or had forgotten that Eden Hazard was Belgium's captain. Although, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure he has actually been Belgium's captain for years now, as I seem to recall that he was Belgium's captain when they lost to Wales all the way back at Euro 2016, which was 5 years ago now. Anyhow, whenever he became Belgium's captain, Hazard certainly captains the national team now, and a few years ago, he probably would have made the top 3 in this list. One of the most gifted players in all of world football, it's no secret that Hazard has had a pretty miserable time since joining Real Madrid, and given that is a period of 2 totally injury-plagued seasons now, I don't think you can dismiss it as a mere blip, and as such, he is restricted to a spot in 8th. 7th. Gareth Bale. How to order Gareth Bale and Eden Hazard was a quandary so intriguing to me that it prompted me to ask all of you, or at least those of you who follow me on social media, in a poll on Twitter. The results were as tight as I had expected, but you also came out, very narrowly, with the same assessment as me, and that is that Gareth Bale just about edges it given Hazard's injury woes. Bale himself is of course no stranger to facing criticism in Madrid or becoming very familiar with the physiotherapist, but he remains a powerful, intelligent and dynamic match winner at his best, so he just about takes 7th. 6th. Manuel Neuer. Powerless to prevent either Raheem Sterling or Harry Kane's close-range finishes against him for England, Manuel Neuer is another very seasoned pro, who still looks outstanding for Bayern Munich. Having reinvented the role of the sweeper keeper, or at least repopularised it on a major scale, there have been few more influential players than Neuer in all of world football over the last 20 years. He's not just influential though, he's also an outstanding goalkeeper. And whilst I think his peak actually came quite early in goalkeeping terms, around the 2012 to 2014 period, he remains one of the most accomplished goalkeepers in Europe, and that's why he's in 6th. 5th. Sergio Busquets. Spain's 6th most capped footballer of all time, Sergio Busquets has stepped up to replace Sergio Ramos as Spain's captain at Euro 2020, and a fine job he has done as well. As a rule, someone's views on Sergio Busquets tends to be a pretty decent indicator of their understanding of the game, since most of his finest work tends to be not that eye-catching, but is absolutely superb. Clearly, Busquets has missed having the likes of Xavi and Iniesta either side of him over the last few years, but he has shown at this tournament that he is still more than capable of pulling all the strings against international class opposition. And he's not actually all that old, soon to turn 33. I love him as a player, I don't know him as a person, and only a slight decline over the last few years in his performance levels prevents him from finishing 1, if not 2 places higher in this video. 4th. Luka Modric. The fact that Luka Modric will turn 36 in just a couple of months' time, but is still so energetic, so complete, and ultimately so impactful, really is quite impressive and a testament to his dedication to the game. With 142 caps for Croatia to his name, and having led his country's charge to the World Cup final in 2018, I certainly don't think it would be outlandish to bestow him with the title of the nation's greatest player of all time. Given his age, it would be logical to assume that this was Modric's last major tournament, as Croatia bowed out during an extraordinary game against the nation in which Modric plays his club football. However, given the lack of drop-off in terms of his performance levels in recent years, you just never know. 3rd. Harry Kane. Following all of the criticism Harry Kane has received over the last few weeks, including my dad wanting him to be subbed off at halftime against Germany. Don't know if you watched that vlog, but worth a watch. I have to say, I absolutely loved seeing him contorting in order to head the ball into the back of the net and seal England's place in the Euro 2020 quarter-final, which may well have taken place by the time this video comes out. That's not to say that I think Kane has been brilliant at this tournament, and all the criticism is unfair. Just that I think it would be mad to drop him given the fact that he is the single most important player in the England team, and if you want a chance to fall to anybody in this squad, 99% of people would pick Harry Kane. An incredible all-round centre-forward, Kane isn't the quickest, but he has superb movement, unwavering confidence in his own ability, and he now creates goals almost as frequently as he scores them. And that's pretty frequent. A brilliant footballer and a brilliant captain, he takes bronze. Second, Cristiano Ronaldo. No longer at Euro 2020 now at the time of recording, though I don't imagine Portugal will be reintroduced to the tournament. It may well be the case that a number of other captains that I am talking about, as though they are still at the Euros, have actually been dumped out by the time this video comes out. But Portugal have already been disposed of at the hands of Belgium at the time of recording. Cristiano Ronaldo also remains Euro 2020's top scorer at the time of this recording, with an impressive tally of 5 goals. Albeit, I think, 3 of those were penalties. Ronaldo is 36 years old, but whilst his ability to beat people has waned somewhat, along with the amount of ground that he covers, he is still lethal within the 6-yard box, as indicated by his 36 goals in 44 games for Juventus last season. Top spot, Robert Lewandowski. My personal belief is that there isn't an enormous gulf between the top 3 players in this list, all of whom are fairly prolific forwards with varying skill sets. Lewandowski is the most prolific of the trio at this moment in time, and I personally believe that he is the best of the 3 as well. I also put this one to all of you on Twitter, and 58.5% of you said that you would take Lewandowski ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo in 2021. And just 3 days later, Ronaldo told the press that he doesn't feel that he gets enough credit. That's right. HITC Sevens Twitter followers are living rent-free in a 5-time Ballon d'Or winner's head. It's the only possible explanation, seeing as though Ronaldo receives a ridiculous amount of credit. Anyhow, Robert Lewandowski may be 32 years old, soon to turn 33, but he has played the best football of his entire career over the last 2 seasons, scoring a laughably brilliant 103 goals in just 87 games. So yeah, clearly there is a great deal of talent in this list, but I'm pretty content with Lewandowski taking top spot. That is it for today's video. Again, apologies for my voice. The Euros against Germany, it was a big day, wasn't it? But, you know, hopefully you don't mind that too much and enjoy the video nonetheless. If that was the case, then I would implore you to hit the like button. I would offer you the chance to comment, should you feel so inclined. Apparently both help with the algorithm, so, you know, if you've got anything to say, let the community know about it. And obviously make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on for HITC Sevens. You turn on notifications by just hitting that little bell icon. You can also find me on Twitter or Instagram via the username at HITC Sevens on both, should you feel so inclined.